There is something quietly powerful about a woman over 60 who chooses to wear her hair long, soft, and free. At this stage of life, you've earned the right to ignore all the old rules that say you must go shorter, more controlled, more conservative. Instead, long layered hair can become a gentle frame for your wisdom, a way to soften features, add movement, and let your natural beauty breathe. Long layers, when done well, can make fine or aging hair look fuller, more alive, and more youthful by creating subtle shape and dimension without sacrificing length. In this video, we'll walk together through how a long layered haircut can flatter women over 60, how to fix choppy, uneven layers you may have received from a rushed salon visit, and how to style your long layers so they fall softly instead of looking thin or ragged. Think of this as a calm conversation with a trusted friend who understands what it feels like to see your hair change with time, but still want to feel beautiful when you look in the mirror. As you listen, you might recognize your own hair in some of these descriptions. A little thinner than before, maybe a bit drier, maybe you've had a cut that left your layers too chunky or stepped. None of that means you have to give up on long hair. With the right approach, long layers can gently lift your features, soften lines, and bring back that feeling of movement and grace every time you turn your head. So settle in, take a breath, and imagine your hair not as a problem to hide, but as a soft, flowing frame that supports who you are now. This is your time to choose what feels like you, not what anyone else says you should do. Long layers that honor your age and beauty. Long layers for women over 60 are not about pretending to be younger. They are about bringing out the softness, movement, and confidence that already live within you. When hair begins to change with age, perhaps becoming finer, a bit drier, or less dense in certain areas, heavy blunt cuts or very short styles can sometimes make those changes feel more obvious. Long layers, when thoughtfully placed, do the opposite. They encourage the hair to move. They create gentle curves around your cheeks and jawline. They add volume in a way that feels natural instead of stiff. Celebrity stylists often mention how long, face-framing layers can soften sharper features and add lift without needing dramatic styling, making them a favorite choice for women who want to keep their length, but still feel polished and modern. Imagine your hair falling just past your shoulders or even to your upper back, with the longest layer providing that sense of length you love, and shorter, softer layers starting around the cheekbones or collarbone. Those layers can be subtle, almost invisible when your hair is straight, but they come to life with the slightest wave or bend. They help prevent that heavy, flat look that can happen when long hair hangs in one weighty sheet. Instead, every movement of your head catches a bit of light, a bit of shape, and you start to see your hair as part of your expression again, not just something to manage. For many women in their 60s, the biggest fear with long layers is that they will make the ends look thin. That fear usually comes from cuts where the layers were too aggressive, taking away too much density at the bottom. The key is balance. Good long layers for mature hair are often described by stylists as soft, subtle, or graduated. That means the difference between each layer is gentle, not drastic. Instead of big, choppy steps, you get a smooth, blended flow from the top of the head all the way to the ends. Your stylist might use techniques like point cutting, snipping into the hair at an angle, to soften the edges so the hair looks feathered and fluid rather than boxy. Face-framing layers are especially powerful at this age. When they begin around the cheekbones, they can visually lift the face, drawing attention to your eyes and away from areas where you might feel more self-conscious, like the jawline or neck. Starting the wave or curl around eye level is another little secret, because it helps to soften fine lines and gives the illusion of a gentle upward movement along the face. A side part paired with these layers can add even more volume at the crown and create that graceful sweep across the forehead, which many stylists recommend for women over 60 who want both softness and structure. The beauty of long layers is that they can be adapted to different hair types. If your hair is fine and tends to fall flat, very light, long layers combined with a good volumizing mousse at the roots can make it appear fuller and more lifted without removing too much weight. If your hair is thicker, longer layers help reduce bulk and prevent that heavy, triangular shape, creating ease and flow that feels less overwhelming around your face. Either way, the goal is the same: to create a shape that works with your natural texture instead of fighting it. So styling becomes simpler rather than more complicated. Styling long layers doesn't have to mean a long routine. Many women find that starting with a volumizing mousse on damp hair, Then blow drying with a round brush, or using a styling tool like a curling wand or an air styler, is enough to encourage soft movement. Curling sections in alternating directions can create that undone, effortless wave that doesn't look overly styled. When you brush through at the end, the hair falls into soft curves instead of stiff curls, which feels modern and relaxed. A light, flexible hairspray or texturizing spray can then support the style without making it crunchy. Healthy, shiny long layers always start with the condition of the hair. As hair ages, it can become more fragile, so gentle care matters even more. Hydrating shampoos and conditioners, occasional masks, and heat protectants are all small acts of kindness you can give your hair. They help maintain elasticity and shine, so that your layers look smooth rather than frizzy or frazzled. Long layers look especially beautiful when light glides along them, and that glow comes from moisture, protection, and consistency. Most importantly, long layered hair after 60 is a quiet statement of self-trust. It says that you are allowed to love your length, to enjoy the feeling of hair brushing your shoulders, to put it up in a loose bun one day, and wear it down in soft waves the next. You are not breaking rules. You are writing new ones that match the woman you are now. Gentle, strong, and beautifully yourself. How to gently fix choppy, uneven layers. Many women over 60 have had the experience of leaving the salon, looking in the mirror at home, and realizing the layers feel too choppy, too stepped, or simply wrong for their hair. Maybe the shortest pieces stick out awkwardly. Maybe the back feels thin, like too much weight was removed. It can be deeply discouraging, especially when you've been trying to grow your hair long and finally felt ready for a layered cut. The good news is that choppy layers can almost always be softened and blended without sacrificing all your length. The process may take a bit of patience, but it is absolutely possible to turn a harsh haircut into a soft, elegant shape that works with your natural texture. The first step is understanding what went wrong. Often, choppy layers happen when the layers are cut too short in relation to the overall length, or when there are steps where one layer ends and the next begins, rather than a smooth transition. Sometimes the stylist may have used a technique that works on very thick, youthful hair, but feels too aggressive on finer or aging strands. That can leave the ends looking stringy or uneven. When you run your fingers through your hair and feel obvious ledges or shelves, that's a sign that the layering pattern needs to be corrected and blended. Knowing this helps remove the sense that your hair is the problem. It isn't. The technique just wasn't right for your hair. A skilled stylist can soften those choppy layers without necessarily cutting your hair much shorter. One common approach is to go through each layer and use blending techniques such as point cutting or thinning shears to break up the heavy lines. Point cutting involves snipping into the ends of the hair at a slight angle, which creates tiny variations in length. This softens the edge, making it look more feathered and less like a blunt, abrupt line. Thinning shears can also be used carefully to remove bulk from thicker areas. Though on fine hair they need to be used sparingly. The goal here is not to make the hair thinner, but to make the transitions between layers smoother, so the eye no longer catches on harsh steps. Sectioning is another part of the correction process. When fixing choppy layers, many stylists resection the hair into clear, balanced zones, front, sides, and back, so they can see how each area connects. This helps ensure that the layers on the left and right sides match, and that the top layers flow seamlessly into the back. Sometimes a stylist will gently adjust the guideline, the initial length and angle used to shape the rest of the cut, to create a more flattering, diagonal flow rather than a flat, horizontal shelf. This is particularly helpful if you want more movement around the face while keeping the back full and supportive. If you are nervous about losing length, it can help to be very clear in your consultation. Let your stylist know that you want to preserve as much length as possible, and that your main goal is to blend and soften the existing layers. A good stylist will work slowly, checking the shape as they go. They may lift sections up and over, observing how the hair falls back into place, making small adjustments rather than big, dramatic cuts. You can even ask them to start with minimal changes, then reassess once the hair is dried and styled. This collaborative approach helps you feel safer and more in control. At home, there are a few gentle styling tricks that can help your choppy layers look softer while you grow them out or wait for a correction appointment. Adding light waves with a curling wand or blow-dry brush can disguise unevenness by creating a more uniform pattern of movement. When the hair is straight, every irregularity shows. When it has a soft bend, those little imperfections blend into the overall flow. Try curling the mid-lengths only, leaving the ends more relaxed, then brushing through the curls for a lived-in look. This keeps the style polished but not overdone, and helps the eye see the overall shape rather than each individual step. Product choice also matters. If your hair feels sparse at the ends because of overlayering, avoid heavy oils or creams that can weigh down the hair and emphasize thinness. Instead, reach for lightweight volumizing mousse at the roots and a soft texturizing spray through the lengths to give body and grip. That extra texture helps the layers sit together instead of separating into skinny strands. On the other hand, if your hair is coarse and the choppy areas feel puffy or rough, a smoothing cream or light serum on the mid-lengths and ends can help tame frizz and create a more cohesive, glossy finish. Sometimes, despite the best efforts to blend, you might still decide that a small shift in length is worth it. In these cases, the goal is not a drastic chop, but a gentle reset that brings the longest layer up just enough to support healthier, more balanced layering. For example, trimming the length to graze the shoulders, or just below can instantly make the hair look thicker and more intentional, especially if the previous cut left the ends thin or stringy. From there, soft, long layers can be rebuilt to frame your face and create volume while still honoring your desire to keep your hair long. If you've had more than one disappointing haircut, it is understandable to feel a loss of trust. Many women share that they lose trust in hairdressers after a bad layered cut. Give yourself permission to seek out someone new, perhaps a stylist who has specific experience with mature hair and long layered styles. Look at photos of their work, especially on clients with gray or thinning hair. When you find the right person, the experience of watching them carefully reshape and soften your choppy layers can feel incredibly healing. It becomes not just a haircut, but a moment of being seen and understood. Above all, remember that a bad haircut is temporary, but your confidence is lasting. Hair grows. Shapes can be changed. Layers can be softened. In the meantime, you can still feel beautiful. Pulling your hair into a soft low ponytail, wearing it half up, or letting gentle waves fall around your shoulders as those choppy areas slowly blend away. Your hair journey at this stage of life is not about perfection. It is about kindness, patience, and choosing styles that support who you are becoming. Styling long layers so they move softly, not stringy. Once your long layers are shaped well, the way you style them can make the difference between hair that looks thin and choppy and hair that feels soft, full, and gracefully flowing. Especially for women over 60, the goal is usually movement without fuss. Hair that looks like it belongs to you, that matches your lifestyle, and doesn't demand an hour in front of the mirror every morning. The good news is that with a few gentle habits and the right approach, long layered hair can be surprisingly easy to work with. It becomes less about fighting your hair, and more about encouraging it to do what it naturally wants to do. Healthy styling begins in the shower. As hair matures, it often needs more moisture and a bit more protection. Using a hydrating shampoo and conditioner tailored to your hair type, fine, medium, or coarse, helps create a smoother surface so your layers slip and overlap beautifully instead of catching and frizzing. Once or twice a week, a nourishing mask can restore shine and elasticity, which makes the layered ends look glossy rather than dry. When hair is healthy, the light reflects off each layer, emphasizing the shape and movement created by the cut. That natural shine is one of the easiest ways to make long layers look expensive and elegant. After washing, be gentle. Wet hair is more fragile, so instead of rubbing it with a towel, lightly squeeze out the water and wrap it in a soft microfiber towel or cotton t-shirt. Apply a leave-in conditioner or detangling spray, focusing on the mid-lengths and ends, then a heat protectant if you plan to blow dry or use hot tools. These small steps protect your hair so that over time it stays smoother and less prone to breakage, meaning your long layers maintain their shape rather than fraying. Detangle with a wide tooth comb, starting at the ends and working upward, allowing the sections to fall into their natural layered pattern. For volume and lift, especially if your hair is fine or thinning, a lightweight volumizing mousse at the roots can work wonders. Apply it to damp hair, then blow dry using either a round brush or a blowout brush, lifting sections at the crown as you dry. Directing the airflow upward at the roots creates that gentle bump that keeps long layers from lying flat against the head. You don't need a perfectly polished blowout, just a bit of lift and smoothness so the layers can move and fall softly. If holding a brush and dryer at the same time feels tiring, a single-step hot brush can be a kind companion, making the process simpler and more ergonomic. To bring out the shape of your layers, adding soft waves is one of the most flattering options at any age, and especially after 60. Tools like curling wands, larger barrel curling irons, or multi-purpose stylers can help you create loose, relaxed waves that mimic the shape of a professional blowout. Curl sections away from your face on each side, starting a few inches below the roots, around eye or cheekbone level, to create a gentle frame for your features. Alternate the direction of the curls through the back to keep the look modern, and not too done. When the hair cools, brush through with a soft paddle brush or your fingers. This breaks up the curls into a flowing, dimensional wave pattern that shows off the layers without looking tight or stiff. If your hair is naturally wavy or curly, long layers can be your best friend when styled in a way that supports your texture. On damp hair, apply a curl cream or light mousse, then scrunch upward to encourage the natural curl pattern. You can let it air dry or diffuse gently with a blow dryer, touching the hair as little as possible to prevent frizz. Once dry, you might use a tiny amount of lightweight oil just on the ends to define the layers and add shine. The key is to allow the layers to stack softly, creating shape without creating bulk. This approach honors your natural texture instead of forcing it straight, making your daily routine much easier. For days when you don't want to style fully, long layers are wonderfully versatile. A low chignon at the nape, with a few soft pieces left out around the face, can look elegant and effortless, especially when the face framing layers gently curve along your cheeks. A loose half-up style can lift the front while allowing the rest of your layers to flow down your back, giving both polish and softness. Even a simple ponytail can look chic when the shorter layers around your face are lightly waved, creating a romantic frame that softens the overall look. These simple styles work beautifully for everyday wear, lunch with friends, or a relaxed evening at home. Product choice should always support movement, not stiffness. Heavy gels and strong hold hairsprays can weigh down fine hair and make long layers look rigid. Instead, choose flexible hold hairsprays, light mousse, and soft texturizing sprays that allow your hair to move and breathe. A texturizing spray at the mid-lengths can create that airy, tousled feeling often seen in modern long hairstyles for women over 60, adding body without sacrificing softness. If your hair tends to frizz, a tiny amount of smoothing cream on the ends can keep everything looking polished, while still allowing the layers to flutter gently when you move. Regular trims remain important, even when you are committed to long hair. Over time, the layered ends can become a bit worn, and a small trim every 6 to 8 weeks helps maintain the shape and prevent the hairstyle from collapsing. This doesn't have to mean losing length. A good stylist can remove only what is necessary to refresh the line and keep your long layers looking intentional and healthy. Think of it as maintenance for your confidence, ensuring that each time you catch a glimpse of yourself, your hair feels like a reflection of how you want to show up in the world. Ultimately, styling long layered hair after 60 is less about chasing trends and more about creating a quiet ritual that supports how you feel each day. Whether you spend 10 minutes or 30, those moments of gently caring for your hair can become a form of self-respect. As your layers fall around your face, framing your smile, your stories, and your wisdom, you may notice that you don't just feel put together. You feel more like yourself, soft, strong, and beautifully alive in this season of your life. Long layered hair after 60 is not a rule you must follow, but a beautiful option you are allowed to choose. If you've ever felt that you had to cut your hair short just because of your age, let this be a gentle reminder that your hair can still carry softness, movement, and grace at any length that feels right for you. With the right cut, careful blending to fix any choppy layers, and simple styling habits, your long layers can frame your face, highlight your smile, and move with you in a way that feels natural and free. As you continue your own hair journey, may you remember that it's never just about the cut. It's about how you feel when you look in the mirror. The quiet confidence, the tenderness toward yourself, the sense that you are allowed to change, experiment, and choose what makes you feel most like you. Your hair can be a gentle expression of that inner shift, a soft curtain that moves with your laughter and your stories. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to subscribe to Timeless Wisdom Path.